What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless you just don't have good taste. And if that's the case, then girl, I can't help you. Y'all, today is my birthday eve. This will be either my 11th or 12th annual 21st birthday. I'm not sure. I've lost count because that's how old I am at this point in life. Now, I did address and thank those of you who I saw wished me a happy birthday in the comments of the last video. I appreciate it so much. If I did not see your comment or heart it, at least I do appreciate the happy birthdays, and so thank you. Today's video, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, is going to be another urban legend. Y'all, I fell down the rabbit hole of this urban legend, and for a moment I was a little bit worried that I was not going to be able to pull enough information together to make an entire video of a decent amount of time, but I feel like I managed to do so. And so without further ado, because I do have some things I want to talk to y'all about, let's just go ahead and dive right into the story of La Llorona. Way back, once upon a time in New Mexico, there is a young boy and his family who are having a typical day when suddenly the appearance of this tall, slim woman wearing all white quickly grasps their attention. Now, the young boy and his family watch in silence as this woman crosses the street and heads toward a nearby creek near their property. Now, it is not until the woman actually reaches the water that they realize that something about sis is kind of off. It's not quite right. She appears to be gliding without any legs or feet. Then suddenly she disappears, and they're still watching because it's not every day that you see somebody disappear, right? But moments later, she reappears at a distance that was way too far for anybody to have run, even if sis was an ancestor of the Usain Bolt. Then suddenly she disappears again, and for good this time, without leaving a single footprint in her path. And the family is horrified and disturbed, but they know exactly who this woman is. She is La Llorona. Now, La Llorona is a very popular urban legend in Mexico. I'm also going to go ahead and put out there that there are various different versions of this story that exist, but what we're going to explore here today is the most common. The legend of La Llorona, which translates to the weeping woman, is not only popular in Mexico, it's kind of popular in the southwestern region of the United States. Now, despite which version of the story you ever heard, one thing is always for certain. She is described as a tall, thin woman dressed in white who mostly appears near or around water, searching for her children whose lives she took. Now, the most popular version of her story is that once upon a time, there lived a very stunning, very naturally beautiful and gracious young woman by the name of Maria, who was born to a pretty poor family. One day she is out in the village minding her beautiful business, doing what, she does, when this wealthy man who was passing through the village sees her, and he is just in awe of her beauty. Now, his family does not want him to marry this woman because she don't have no money, and he is pretty much like, I got all the money, like she doesn't need to have money. He's in love with her. She falls madly in love with him, genuinely, not just because he has money. So the two begin a relationship, and it is not long after their relationship begins that they decide to take their relationship to the next level and get married. Now, not long after the two of them get married, they welcome 2 children into the world, and Maria is quite pleased with her marriage, her life, her family, and just the way things have turned out in general. She is happy at first because, unfortunately, as time goes on, her husband becomes less interested in her, and no matter what she does or how hard she tries to rekindle the flame that once burned between them, nothing works. She is not able to have her husband look at her the way that he looked at her that day she was standing in her little rags in the village. And she just couldn't understand it because she had not lost her charm. She had not lost her looks yet. She was still very much a pretty young thing. Nothing about her had really changed at all, including the love that she has for her husband. She is still very much madly in love with him. So she is determined to make their marriage work. Then her husband begins spending more and more of his time away from the house, and when he is at home, he is not paying her any attention. their sons are getting all of his love, all of his affection, and he pretty much treats her as if she just doesn't exist. Because of this, she starts to become a little jealous of the boys and begins to resent them. And one fateful day, while she is walking with her children alongside of a river, Maria spots her husband riding in a carriage with a pretty young tenderoni, much like myself. Now, if that's not bad enough, he has the audacity to pull his little carriage up to them, speak to the children, and pretty much not even acknowledge Maria. He had himself a new woman, and it was very apparent to her at that moment that this is why things have been going the way that they've been going. This is why she cannot win his heart back, because it currently belongs to somebody else. Once he rides off into the sunset with his new boo, leaving Maria standing in his rear view with their two children, she becomes enraged. She is upset with her husband. She is feeling the jealous emotion towards her children, blacks out, and throws them into the river. Immediately, they disappear down the stream. Moments later, she realizes the horrors of what she had done, and she runs to the edge of the water to try to save them, but it is too late. They are gone, child. She can't even see them in the water. She breaks down into this inconsolable grief, running along the edges of the water, frantically looking for her children, whom she never finds. Now, this is where the story differentiates a couple of ways. In one instance, she hurls her body into the water after them, child, and they just gone and cross over together. In another, she dies some other type of way, and when she gets to the pearly gates, they ask her about the whereabouts of her children. Apparently, they never showed up to heaven either. I don't know. And at this point, her little spirit gets trapped in purgatory, and she is banished back to earth to search for her children. They tell her don't come back without them. And then there is the version where she returns home just completely overwhelmed with grief and regret. She mourns her children day and night. She would then return to the river at night, looking for them, crying for them. She was not eating, she was not sleeping, just crying endlessly as she roams the riverbanks, searching for her boys. Now, because she is refusing to eat and she is not properly sleeping, her health declines very quickly. She becomes super thin to the point that she looks like a walking skeleton. And as a very young woman still, she unfortunately dies one of these nights alongside the river. But see, not long after she passes away, people are still seeing her down there at the river, crying, searching for her children, dressed in her white gown. Her soul so consumed by pain, regret, and guilt that it is unable to rest, or depending on the story, because she, got turned around at the pearly gates. Whatever the case, she is there walking alongside the riverbanks, looking for her children still. Now, this, of course, has people afraid to go outside after dark. I'm going to address one more popular version of the story, which is that she was a neglectful mother, down to the bar, dropping it like it's hot night after night, child, while children were at home all alone. And on one of these evenings, she returns home to find that they had drowned in the river mysteriously. And she is then cursed as punishment for being a neglectful mother. And so that's how she ended up where she was. Now, the spirit of La Llorona is said to be a very vengeful spirit. She is a very angry woman out there. Child, is that her or the wind? She will allegedly take your child and throw them into the river as she had done her own, or she will take them to replace her own that she cannot find. She is said to act without mercy, without a second thought or any hesitation, and the level of her cruelty really depends on the version of the story that you hear. Some versions of the story say that she does not discriminate when she is choosing her victim. She takes cheating men because she is upset with her husband. She'll take women who are wild like she was in one version of the story, and she will also, of course, take your child. Whoever is foolish enough to get close to her within her little, ghostly arm's reach. But in the version of the story that I read, that seems to be the most common, she specifically targets children, and if she snatches them up, she will drag them into the water, never to be seen or heard again. Now, what I've told you thus far is the most common origin point of this urban legend, but it is also speculated that this story dates back all the way to the Greek Greek mythology days, child. They say Hera, the goddess of love and marriage, who was also the wife of Zeus, called Zeus having a nasty little affair with Lamia. I believe I'm saying that right. Lamia. Lamia. She's a demigod. And when Hera finds out about their little affair, she punishes Lamia by slaying her children. And then she turns Lamia herself into a child-eating monster. Baby Hera said, don't mess with my man. I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you. What you do to Zeus though? That's what I want to know, because you know they never want to go after the Zeuses. But anyway, that's a different story for another day. The story of Zeus and Hera and Lamia being turned into this child-chomping monster is a very interesting story. Honestly, it made me think about, you know, potentially covering some Greek mythology stories on the channel. I don't know. I feel like I got enough going on right now. I got enough balls in the air. No pun intended. Anywho, Lamia, she had wandered the earth as well, mourning the loss of her children and devouring any other child that she crosses paths with. And then, of course, there is also the story of Medea in Greek mythology, who was married to Jason, who was this heroic figure, and she called him cheating. He had a whole little side piece, and when she called them as a form of revenge to get back at Jason, she returned their children to sender, because he loved their children so much. So there are a lot of stories in other cultures that are reminiscent to the legend of La Llorona, making it quite impossible to really determine exactly where the story stemmed from. Generations of Mexican children have grown up afraid of La Llorona, terrified out of their minds, with a lot of their parents using her story as kind of like a boogeyman kind of cautionary tale to scare their disrespectful children into thinking that if they're too bad, La Llorona is gonna ride up and snatch them into the water. There have also been countless accounts of people claiming to have experienced La Llorona themselves. Now I'm gonna tell you about something real strange that happened while I was researching toward the end of the video, but right now we're gonna continue to talk about these people. Now there is one lady who recalls being 8 years old when her grandmother, who was preparing dinner, sent her and her brother down the street to get something to drink to go with the dinner. It wasn't really that late that this took place, but it was toward the evening. And the grandmother figured because the stores are not that far away and it's not really that late, that it was not a problem to send these two kids to the store right quick. Now they're walking down the street and then they begin to hear this faint cry. But they don't really pay attention because, you know, people cry sometimes. They continue to walk, minding their little business. But as they're walking, the cry gets louder and louder. Still, they are not paying it much attention. That is until they actually see a woman, tall, thin woman dressed in all white, and it is very obvious that these sounds are coming from her, and she is coming directly toward them. When they notice that she is actually floating toward them instead of walking, the little boy begins to cry, and when he starts to cry, her speed picks up and she comes directly toward him. And at this point, they both turn and begin to run back toward their grandmother's house. They said, damn that 2-liter. They get there, they close the door, lock it, and tell their grandmother about what they had seen and experienced, and she did not even question it. Immediately she began to pray, and the three of them remained inside of the house until morning. In another instance, this woman claims to have actually been physically attacked by La Llorona inside of her own home. She was also 8 at the time that this had happened. Now she had developed this little curiosity into all of the things paranormal, and so she had fallen down the rabbit hole of researching this woman, this entity. And one night she is at home reading up on La Llorona, and then she hears a noise coming from within inside the house. She listens, doesn't hear anything, decides to go back to reading, ignore it, act like it never happened, until she hears the noise again, this time a little bit louder. Now the second time she chooses not to ignore it. She goes forward to check it out and see if she can determine where this noise is coming from. And she realizes that it had to have been coming from inside of her restroom. So she goes in and she stands there and listens, but she doesn't hear anything, and she is standing right in front of the sink. She's waiting to hear the sound again when suddenly something that she could not see grabs her by the head, pushes her head down into the sink, and the water comes on and it is running, and no matter how hard she tries to pull back and get herself out of the water, get her little head out of the sink, she cannot manage to do so. So she is basically drowning. She attempts to take a couple of breaths. She is trying to scream as well, and finally Her mother hears all of the commotion and comes running into the bathroom. She turns off the water, pulls her daughter up from the sink, and hugs her really tightly because at that point, she already knew what was going on. Sis already knew that it was the weeping woman. Unfortunately, the legend of La Llorona has inspired some real-life true crime events. Right here in Houston, Texas in 1986, a woman who is the mother of 7 and unfortunately a victim of DV decides that she is going to take herself and her children out of their misery. One by one, she throws her children into the Buffalo Bayou. 5 of them survive the ordeal. And when she is arrested, she declares that she herself is the infamous La Llorona / Maria. Now, whether you believe it or not, there have been so many alleged sightings of the weeping woman that there is a creek here in Texas named after her because so many people have claimed to have spotted her there over the years. There's also a canyon in Arizona that is allegedly a hot spot for Miss Mamas, and she frequently visits there to cry and look for her children and scare the locals. The Paranormal Files team, which is a team here on YouTube, they have a pretty large following and channel. You should check it out. They typically go to spots that are alleged to be haunted. They have a video, which I'll link down below, but I'm not about to put none of their footage, baby, because they're not about to airstrike Mother's channel, okay? In this video, they visit most, if not all, of the places where she is allegedly spotted the most, and apparently had their own little run-in with her, which they have the footage of over there if you want to go check that out. They also speak with a couple of people who have claimed to have their own run-ins with this woman. Either that or they know someone who's had a very credible experience or run-in with the weeping woman. They speak with the professor whose uncle claims that one evening when he was out late at night driving along a dark road, he sees this woman standing on the side of the road dressed in all white. And he thought to himself it was strange because, woman, what are you doing out here on this dark dirt road all by yourself? Like, this is not probably the safest thing you could be doing. But he keeps going, minding his business. He drives for a while and then he sees her again. And he is like, no, sis, you couldn't have run. Like, you could not have run all the way down here that fast and beat my car. That is not possible. Now, at this point, as he is passing her, he looks at the woman in his rearview mirror, and then he turns to look back at her physically, like turns in his car, and she disappears. Now, he turns himself back forward because, you know, he is driving. But the moment that he turns back toward the windshield, she is there standing right in front of his car, and he is like right there about to hit her. He slams on his brake in an effort to avoid hitting the lady. And at that point, she just turns into a bunch of birds and they just fly off, leaving him sitting there in his car shaking in his little spirit. Now, quite a few movies have been made about this urban legend, one of which is directed by the same director that works on The Conjuring. During the filming of The Curse of La Llorona, there were allegedly several supernatural occurrences that happened on set, leaving everybody to feel like sis was definitely there. Somebody was there. One of the lead actors who plays a priest, he spent a lot of his time preparing for the role before the filming began. And he prepared in a number of ways. One of which is, of course, you know, reading over the script, researching the story itself. So he's just very familiar with what is going on. But he is also very aware, or he believes that certain energies, like negative energies, dark energies, and spirits can attach themselves to you, can affect you. He wanted to, of course, be a part of the film, but he didn't want to make himself too vulnerable. He wanted to protect his soul from anything negative that could come from being a part of this project. And one way that he continued to protect himself while he was on set is wearing this beaded bracelet that is supposed to protect him from any negative energy or, you know, any spirits. Now, he did a lot of praying in the movie under his role as a priest, and he did a lot of praying in his real life for his real soul. But there is a scene that takes place inside of the living room of the house. I've not seen the movie, but from the still shot that I'll insert here, it looks as though he's like praying any negative energy out of the home. I'm assuming that's what's going on here. That's what it looks like. Nevertheless, during this scene right here, he has one hand holding a Bible, the other hand up while he is saying a prayer. And right in the middle of his prayer, his bracelet that he was wearing for protection, it breaks. Like, there was nothing touching the bracelet. There was no gust of wind that could have blew through and broke the strings. Nothing. Like, it just breaks and the beads go everywhere. And as if this is not odd enough, when they go to pick up the beads, because you know they can't just leave them laying rolling all over the floor of the movie set, several of the beads are actually split perfectly down the middle in half. And these beads, he said, were made of stone and they were really, really hard. The floor of the house was hardwood flooring, and nobody on set believed that those beads falling could have been broken by this floor. Like, it just didn't seem likely. It just seemed so strange to him that they broke and perfectly down the middle, and just all things considered. And so he goes outside and attempts to break several of them against the concrete outside, and he is unable to. He is unable to break them on the floor that they fell upon, nor is he able to break them against the concrete. Not only that, it was a very eerie feeling always, like a presence there throughout the set that everybody pretty much that was a part of the crew felt and could not deny. The leading actress, who was familiar with the story having grown up in Mexico, says that she does believe that La Llorona herself was in fact present, but she feels like sis was just there making sure that they were doing right by her story and telling it right, and that pretty much was it. So I don't know if she was there and she got a little upset by the prayer child, or what was going on at that moment that she felt like she needed to bust those beads. Maybe she just can't be in the presence of prayer. Who knows? She could have had a bad reaction to it, you know? What do you think? Are you familiar with the Weeping Woman? I'm pretty sure anybody who speaks at least 13 words of Spanish has probably heard the story of La Llorona. And I want to know if any of y'all have had any run-ins with sis. Now, this is the thing. I can't lie. I'm going to be 100% honest. During the research of this story, first of all, this urban legend gave me all kinds of issues. She might have been involved. I don't know. But I do know that I was spooked at one particular point in creating this video. So there was a moment when I was doing my research, minding my business and a little bit of La Llorona's business, and then, y'all, I kid you not, my laptop screen goes completely black. And then it was like these strange purple boxes and lines that popped up on the screen. And my laptop has never done this before. It's fully charged. Like, Miss Mama's just came out of the box about 3 weeks ago. Y'all saw, if you follow me on Instagram, I was about to throw hands and feet at the Apple store, girl, when they sold me a scratched up laptop looking like the rats and roaches had been kicking on my laptop down to the warehouse. And I was not going for that because those products cost too much money. I said all that to say that my laptop is in perfect condition and Miss Mama's is not giving me any kind of issues at all whatsoever until I started researching this and gathering information. So it goes all black and I'm just looking like, girl, what's going on? Like, what's about to happen? Are you about to appear on the screen? Because, you know, I'm down with the shits. Ever since I was a little girl, I have been asking to see ghosts. I want to see a ghost. That's why they don't come here, because I'm not going to give them the reaction that they want. I'm going to be like, girl, what you want? What's going on? Let me hit her with that Jocelyn Hernandez. Why is you here? Now, I was at the point of my research where I was reading people's stories, and honestly, I was kind of reading them with a smirk, like, girl, okay, like, yeah, that happened to you. Not really sold on any of the things that I was reading, and that's when my computer went back. It's like sis was like, girl, I'll show you better than they can tell you that I exist. And I said, okay, Miss Mama, I see you. Excuse me if I'm looking crazy, but it's early in the morning, so I can do that. Now, this was not the end of the madness that I endured while creating this video, which is why you're seeing this video on Friday morning. Happy birthday to me. While I was editing, like, Final Cut Pro kept crashing. It will not stay open longer than like 10 minutes. And I posted it on my Instagram, so I'm sure y'all saw the struggle in real time if you follow me there. Then when I got Final Cut Pro, like, I had to reinstall it on the computer. When I got that situated, the computer itself started acting crazy. Then my external hard drive completely went bad. Well, not completely. I was able to back it up, thank God. But it was just all of the issues. It would not access my external hard drive. I had to back it up, erase it, reformat it. Like, it was just so much going on. I said, this is not gonna let me get my video up. Miss Mama's, my video is going up, and I don't care if it has to go up on a Friday. I worked on this video all night. Like, I think I went to bed at like 10. I finally gave up. She tried to sabotage my whole video, I believe. another Raw for the Dolls situation, but damn her, because my video is gonna make it to YouTube. I don't care. Now, before I could grab my phone, because I did have that moment where I was like, oh, let me take a picture of this, I'll insert it and show them what happened to my computer. It just powered completely off and then powered back on. And I was like, girl, sis was like, girl, you're not about to exploit me for your little YouTube channel. I'm not with it. Now, I said I might have to go through here and light my little sage, girl, and cast out the darkness and the demons. But hell, Bella ass might disappear at that point. So I don't know. I probably can tie her to a tree downstairs right quick while I sage my space. Paid too much money for that dog for her to just vanish. So as we know, because I of course keep saying it, tomorrow is my birthday. And with that, I have some good news for y'all. And I got a little bit of bad news for y'all. I'm just gonna assume you want the good news first. The good news is that I have decided to host like a little birthday party live on here tomorrow. I'm not sure of the time. I'll post it in the morning and let you guys know. It's gonna definitely be in the evening because mother wants to have herself a little cocktail. And I have brunch plans in the morning with my sister, and I just want to be able to enjoy my birthday doing all of the things, girl, and not have to rush and get back home, even though I'm coming home to you. And not only that, with my lives and premieres, I try to do them a little later in the day so I know that everybody is home from work, hopefully. Then of course, unfortunately, there are those of you who are on a whole different time frame, whole different part of the day altogether in different countries, and y'all just won't be able to make it, and I hate that. But some of y'all be showing up to my lives at like 3 a.m. so I love y'all for that. But girl, if you gotta go to school or work, girl, don't let me keep you up. If you would like to join the live, pop in for a moment or two. I will be able to add people in the live just like how you do on Instagram. I have the option of adding up to 10 people, but 10 little screens, 10 little boxes like this is the Brady Bunch, that is not gonna work for me, honey. So I'm gonna add a couple of people at a time and let people rotate in and out depending on how many of y'all want to actually join. Y'all might be at the house with y'all little hair bonnets on, wig on the dresser, and just not in the mood. But if you are and you want to, you know, pop in and say a few words, you definitely will have the option to do so. My moderators, I hope y'all are definitely there. Right now I think I only have like 3 or 4. I think it's Amanda, Fabian, Diamond, and there is another moderator, and now I feel bad because I can't remember the 4th, and I know it's the 4th. And she goes hard in the comments telling y'all to like the video. I got you on my mind, girl, but I don't know your name. I'm so sorry about it. Now I feel terrible. So that'll be fun. We're gonna have a birthday party over here on my channel, and I'm excited. I'm actually looking forward to this. This is gonna be so fun. It's like a virtual meet and greet, and I've been wanting to do one of those. So this is kind of like killing 2 birds in one stone, with one stone. Now, as for the bad news, y'all, I have been thinking for so long, like for weeks, what am I gonna get myself for my birthday? Because I always buy myself something cute or something nice for my birthday. I'm very much one of those. I don't know if that's what everybody does, but I do it, okay? I'm gonna get me something nice. But this year, because I've been prioritizing self-care so much, there's really nothing that I feel like I've been wanting that I don't already have. Like, I'm so content. I've already moved to an entirely new city, pretty much practically giving myself a whole new life. And so at that point, it's like, girl, what more could I even be asking me for? However, I saw this meme online that asked the question of which one do you value more, money or time? Like, would you like to have a lot more time or a lot more money? Now, me personally, I definitely value time over money. And then it hit me, that could be my gift. And thus I have decided, and I know y'all ain't gonna wanna hear this, I know it. I have decided that instead of working next week, I'm going to take the week off and explore Houston. When I first got here, I was getting out every day, riding. I loved it. I'm just riding around, seeing all of the things that need to be seen. I had a list of places I wanted to visit and experience when I got here, and I hit those. But since then, I really have not gotten out and done much exploring. I just feel like I get out and I run errands and do things that need to be done versus things that are just fun to do. Oh shit, I'm not turning as old as I thought. I thought I was a year older than what I am. That's cute. Yo, I really thought I was finna be a year older. I feel a little better about this thing. So this year, on my 12th annual 21st birthday, I am going to gift myself a self-care week, and instead of doing any uploading, any editing, any of the things, I am going to do whatever I want to do. I'm gonna go get some massages. I'm gonna go have drinks with my sister a couple of times. Maybe at one time she got a whole life and a family. My nail tech, shout out to Sade. That's my girl. She and I are going out this weekend and we're gonna have fun because we always do. And I've been hanging out with two of my neighbors lately and they're super cool. Love them. And so we may do something as well. All right, so that is pretty much it for this story of La Llorona, the urban legend. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like the video before you leave. Share the video with a friend. Subscribe if you have not. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. Oh, before I go, everything that I received lately from my P.O. box, I did post to Instagram, shouted it out. I tagged you if your Instagram handle was included. Thank you so much. I got on some lashes from one of the girls today. The information will be in the description box. I also have a glitter from another one of the ladies who sent me their glitter. But y'all, Bella received a Hogwarts letter. Y'all, Bella is going to Hogwarts as well. She is going to turn Hogwarts out. Melissa said that Bella is definitely a young Draco Malfoy and she is going to Slytherin without a doubt. I said, y'all, I'm going to keep hope alive for my baby that her little spirit just turns around. Bella wakes up every day and chooses violence and chaos. She is not here right now. That is the only reason why things are this quiet and subtle in my background. My sweet little baby. Like, I be trying to work with her. She is very much a Sour Patch Kid as well. But she's like not 50-50. It's like a 90% sour, 10% sweet. I don't know what to do, y'all. Keep her in your prayers. She is definitely a lot. A handful. And the thing is, the lady that I got her from, when I picked Bella up, this lady looked me in the eyes and said, now she is a little bossy. She's a little boss. And I laughed it off. I'm like, that's cute. She a little boss like me, like her mama. But I kid you not, every day, Bella reminds me of that moment with that lady. And I see exactly what the lady was talking about. Like, literally, there is a point in every day. And I'm just like, this is what that lady was talking about. I told her yesterday that I was going to take her across the street to the Chick-fil-A line and sell her in the drive-thru. Now, when you see a woman out there trying to, you know, hustle and sell a dog, don't ask no questions, girl. Do you want the dog or not? Let me go because I have to go pick up my child. I miss her crazy little self and Blue misses her as well. So let me get out of here. Y'all have a great day. I will miss y'all too. Honestly, I'm sure I will. And I know y'all gonna miss me. And I almost had to do it because analytics have had me in timeout pretty much since I went on that 3-week hiatus when I first moved here. Child, YouTube just pulled me out of the corner. And so here I go, pulling another week out of the hat. That's fine. I'm willing to take that in the name of self-care. All right. Bye for this time. La Llorona. I know I said that right. I better have said that right. Child, don't crucify me. Not long after the two wed, they married. Not married. Jeez Louise. Then her husband began spending less time away. No. Not less time away. Returning to the river to search from them. What? Origin story of La Llorona. How old am I? What's this year? It's 2021. I really don't know how old I am. Oh shit, I'm not turning as old as I thought. I thought I was a year older than what I am. That's cute. Yo, I really thought I was gonna be a year older. I feel a little better about this thing. So if you see a woman not panhandling, what? If you see a woman soliciting, is that right? What the f is it when you're selling something?